Hello, hello, everyone. We will get started in just a moment. Thank you for being here today. If you all could do me a favor as we get started and right before we start recording, you should be able to hear me okay, as well as see my slides. So if you don't mind locating the chat box, I will show you where that is in just a moment. But it should be at the very top for you, like on the left. And just let me know that you can hear me and see my slides okay. That would be fantastic. All righty. So let's go ahead and get started. And I will get the recording started. So I will go on mute for 1 second and get the recording started so we can dive in since we're at the top of the hour. Okay, awesome. So thank you all for being here today and letting me know that you can see my slides okay and hear me as well. So we are going to be talking today about who or how new managers can make their mark. Being a new manager can be incredibly stressful for people for a lot of different reasons. And we are going to talk today about how to navigate that as effectively as possible. Let you know that you're not alone. These different challenges that we'll discuss today are normal. And we want to help you with tools to help you prepare in advance. But also, if you're in a new management position right now, how to get your sea legs and get started on the right foot. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a certified career coach, speaker, and author. I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia, but we have coaches in different parts of the country that provide the one-on-one coaching for us. I've been a proud partner with Georgia State for years. I'm not sure how long it's been, but it's been a long time. And I've been coaching and training since 2002. I have an undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University and a master's degree from the University of Illinois. And we welcome our alumni today, as well as friends of Georgia State and friends of my organization as well. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you all, because we do try to provide in this half hour as much useful information and advice as we possibly can, that we would recommend choosing one action step that resonates the most for you, that makes the most sense for you and your situation and where you are on this journey. And then as a reminder, admin-wise, we are recording today, and you will receive a copy of that automatically. And you will also receive a copy of our slides as well. So sit back and take things in. Feel free to take a few notes if you'd like to. But pick one thing that makes the most sense for you in the next week to be working on, and then you can revisit all of the materials later on too. So let's dive in about why becoming a new manager can be so stressful. There are studies out there that talk about this actually, that 6 out of 10 managers actually have said that becoming a boss for the first time was second only in stress level to a divorce. And it could be public speaking, all of these different things that are really stressful for us in our lives. It's normal to feel a little bit nervous and also excited about being a new manager. So whatever you're feeling, just know you're not alone. And then in addition to this, the fact that it's just new and different, when we overlay what's been going on this year, and in the past multiple years, remote working, hybrid people that you might be managing, people being worried about getting laid off and tough economy, it impacts us being a manager as well, because our people can feel disconnected. They can feel more stressed than they might otherwise and worried about their stability. And as a manager, we want to help create as much as possible a sense of purpose, stability, etc., and kind of let our people know, if you will, that they're being taken care of as much as we possibly can. And then finally, it's tough becoming a new manager because some people, some of our clients, when we work with them on this, they will understandably say, I have imposter syndrome. I'm not sure that I'm ready for this. Or they might feel like I'm ready for it, but sometimes I feel like a fraud. Sometimes I'm not totally sure I know what I'm doing. It can feel overwhelming. Sometimes our clients will tell us they feel like they're in over their head some of the time, not all of the time, but so everybody feels different things. And when we work with people on this, just know that we talk with you not just about strategy and tangible action steps, but also about how we can boost your confidence in this new role for you, because that's a huge part of what's going to help you be better in this new role. So here's our agenda for today. There's three main things. We're going to talk about the most common obstacles that we see in our clients when they become a new manager. We love working with this population. It's really fun for us. We will give you 10 different tips that we would recommend you incorporate as appropriate for you, but at least consider all of them over time. Incorporate into your strategic plan as a new manager. So when we work with clients on becoming a new manager and how to manage this more effectively, there are 10 different things that we work with them on, and we have a template that we use with them to create a plan so that they're not just kind of walking through this, I don't want to say blindly, that's a little bit extreme, but without a plan and tracking their progress and their success. And then 3, along the way, we're going to give you action steps to take. So I think we've already located the chat box for today. If you take a look at this slide, that's there. And I know that everyone can hear me, so that's fantastic. Part of why I'm bringing up the chat box is I am going to put some links in there as we go as reference and resources for you. So just wanted to mention that too. So let's take a look at one of the first tips actually is for you to identify where your obstacles are, kind of like a SWOT analysis. Where are your obstacles in terms of being a new manager? So there's multiple things that can come up for people. So pick which one may be coming up for you on the right-hand side of this slide. Some people feel like, okay, I have instant authority, but that's not always like, I'm not always getting backed up for that. Or they may feel like they're supposed to have authority, but that's not happening. Or vice versa, the other way around. They don't see it playing out in the way that they want to. Some people will tell us one of their obstacles and things they struggle with is feeling like they're the authority in that imposter syndrome, but also trying to maintain the same relationships with people, especially if, for example, you've been promoted within your own organization. That can be harder to do. Trying too hard to be liked is something some of our clients struggle with, assuming that their way is the only right way, or worrying that and not taking a stand as much as they should. And then finally, one of the things that we find across the board with all of our clients is the last one, that they don't realize until a lot of times they're in this position, how much work it takes and how much work goes into being a new manager. You've got to be more mindful than you were as an independent contributor and all this other good stuff we're going to talk about today. So know that you're not alone. And one of the first tips in our 10 tips for today is to identify what's holding you back the most. What are your 2 obstacles? Whether it's something on the previous slide or something else, doesn't matter, but it's good for you to know what those obstacles are. Is it imposter syndrome? Is it something else? Because that's going to tell you your first 1 or 2 areas that you need to start working on and tackling up front. Then you can add the rest of the items to your strategic plan for the next 90 days, for example. So take a moment to take stock, identify your top 2 obstacles to success here. If you need help with this, this is why we are here as coaches. And we have a coach on our team who is C-suite. And one of his areas of focus is mentoring new managers. He loves it. He's great at it. Then we want you to develop a plan to address these obstacles. What are some of the action steps that you can start to take to manage around these, get past them, or overcome them? And know that as you're implementing some of these strategies, you may need to change or tweak them. You may need to see what works and what doesn't work over time. And as part of this, we want you to not just have a plan for, okay, how am I going to get my work done as a new manager, but how am I going to manage these people effectively as well? And set some goals and give yourself timelines for each of those goals as well. So tip number 1 is identify your biggest obstacles to success so you can start building out your plan. Tip number 2 is remembering that it takes time to earn respect. Just because you've become a new manager doesn't always mean that automatically you have the respect, the authority, all of the other stuff, the trust that is required to be a good manager. So focus on earning respect over time and realizing and trying to be patient with the process. Some of the things we recommend you do in order to make this happen is making sure that you're really listening to your people, that you're showing them respect, and that you're empathizing with them. Remember that empathy doesn't mean agreement all the time, but people want to feel like they're heard and understood. And then you can get them on board with you more with the decisions that you have to make. It's a great idea for bullet point number 2 to ask your people questions, not just always tell them what to do. This empowers them and it helps them feel understood. You understand their perspective a little bit more, and then you can be more authoritative based on the decisions you need to make. Third bullet point here with earning respect is taking time on a regular basis, whether it's once a month or more frequently every single time you meet with them at the beginning, for example, to get to know them. What are their strengths, their personality type, and their values, so that you're playing to those things as a new manager. You're not asking them to do things that isn't in their wheelhouse, and you're also not rubbing them the wrong way in terms of their values. Now, we're not saying here that as a new manager, you have to twist yourself into a pretzel because you're the manager and they're the employees. But the more you do these types of things and at least like show that understanding, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And then the final thing, as part of the respect and navigating your differing relationships, if you are now managing people that you worked with before or any kind of related situation like that, you need to accept that your relationships have now changed and discuss this openly with them so that you can work effectively with each person on your team and that you're managing. Tip number 3 is, as part of earning this respect, you also want to build trust with your people too. It's a good idea in order to establish trust to ask for their ideas. This doesn't mean that you always have to take their ideas, and they might not always be the best ones, but acknowledge those and implement some of the ideas, as much as possible. And do some things to get to know each other. During the days of COVID, people would have a scavenger hunt if around their office, if they're working remotely. You can do something where you decide to implement like a team building lunch, every quarter, or an activity or something like that. Just be mindful of not just the tangible things that you all have to accomplish. Those are critically important, but think about and consider ways to build your team outside of the office that then influences how they behave inside of the office too. So focusing also on what are the things I need to do regularly during our meetings, but outside of meetings as well, to earn that trust and a sense of camaraderie and belonging within my team is going to be really important and enable everyone to be more successful as a result. We would highly recommend, as part of tip number 4, to, especially as a new manager, because there can be a lot of ins and outs there, is try to work on identifying a mentor. If you already have one, that's fantastic. But this is a really important time when you become a new manager to find someone to help you navigate this along the way so that you don't feel all alone and you are able to talk with someone who's been there, done that, and understands what this is like, that can give you some guidance and ideas. This person could be inside or outside of your organization. We recommend you set up regular meetings with them and you've got an agenda of things that you want to ask, etc. And make sure when you do identify a mentor, and this if you're looking for someone within your organization or within your industry, it can take a little bit of time. So be proactive about it, but be patient. But be willing to be specific with and ask for advice that you need. And also be open to feedback along the way, because that's critically important. I mentioned a few minutes ago that we have a coach on our team who one of his main areas of focus is mentoring new managers. He loves it. He's fantastic at it. He's done it throughout his career as he became the president of an organization here in Atlanta. He's always done this and is very good at it, not just because of his coaching skills, but also because of his expertise. We always offer a free consult to prospective clients. If you'd like to learn more about working with us, find out if it's the right fit for you, how to create that strategic plan as a new manager. If you do set this up, and I'll put this in the chat box just really quickly, so you've got a link to the consult just in case. If you do set this up with us, please reference that you heard about us through this webinar, because we will give you a discount for our services. And I'll put this in the chat box right now if that's easier, or an easier way for you to schedule. Let's talk about tip number 5. And this is the importance of, whether it's coursework over, like a longer term class, or it's just one-off classes about communication skills or managing conflict or something else, for example, through LinkedIn Learning or Coursera. It's a good idea to recognize, remember we talked about your obstacles and where you need to fill the gaps. Long term, would it be good for you to get a certification, let's just say in your industry? And in the meantime, short term, would it be good to read a couple of books or take a quick class, whether it's free or multiple sessions, so that you can figure out, okay, where are the areas that I need to strengthen a little bit? And are there some classes I can take? If you look on the right-hand side of this slide, sometimes what's helpful for people is to look at the LinkedIn profiles of other people who are in your position. And what qualifications do they have? Do they have any classes that they've listed there? What are the things that they are saying are their strengths? And even as part of this, looking to leaders within your organization, how do they behave? What are the things that you see they are doing in order to build their team, et cetera, et cetera? So ask your boss or HR for ideas, but also look at and pay attention to what other leaders in your organization are doing as well. We really like kind of piggybacking on this training idea, but this leadership strengths wheel from Development Dimensions International, it's a highly regarded management consulting firm. And if you would print this out and rate yourself in each area so that you can understand where you fall in terms of, okay, these are my biggest leadership strengths. These are my areas of challenge that I need to work on a little bit more. We love it when people don't just rank themselves in each area, but they also ask other people to rank them, because sometimes we discount things that come naturally to us that actually we're really good at. But for example, we may have imposter syndrome. So we love it when you do both of these things. I'd highly recommend the internal self-reflection and self-assessment, but checking with other people too. Like, what do you think I might be better at than others, and where might I need to improve? Remember, with each of these elements of the wheel, they may not be relevant to the job as a new manager that you are in or about to get. So put aside or identify the ones that are going to be most important and ignore those ones that aren't going to be as important within your specific role. Tip number 6 in our 10 tips for today is to take initiative. And here's a couple of things that we always tell our new managers is, number 1 on this left-hand side of the slide is err on the side at the beginning while everyone is getting to know you, and vice versa. Err on the side of over communicating versus under communicating. You can kind of like lay off a little bit over time as people understand your style and you all get into the groove. But context is really important for everything that you're doing, especially as a new manager, so that people understand where you're coming from. The second item on this slide, we kind of already talked about a second ago, Observe and emulate key players in your organization. Create a list of those soft skills that they seem to have that you'd like to adopt and work on to improve your skills in. And especially at the very beginning, you really want to make yourself extra available to your team, so that they can get to know you. Again, get in the groove with things, understand where you're coming from, what your style is, and all of that. So it's a good idea, especially at the beginning. And again, you may want to adjust this over time, and you might be able to tone it down a little bit more as people get used to the swing of things. But create some office hours where people can come and ask you questions anytime they need to, certain times during the week. Make sure that you are conducting and scheduling regular meetings with your employees to get to know them at the beginning, but also understand, okay, what's going on for them? How are they doing with this change, et cetera, et cetera. So set up that structure, because when people have structure and also some sense of regularity and consistency, they feel safer. There's a greater sense of stability. They're going to be more likely to give you feedback and be honest and open with you too. Let's look next at tip number 7, and this is being confident. And we talked earlier about how so many people can have imposter syndrome, especially as it relates to becoming a new manager. And we all know, if you look at the left-hand side, professional athletes talk about this all of the time, right? How much they need to visualize their success before a game or a match or whatever it is. It's the same thing here. Your attitude affects your actions, which we all know affects your outcome, okay? And the majority of our clients, and this is always like an interesting statistic for people, I think, they tell us when we're asking them at the beginning of working with them, what are your biggest obstacles? You might think it's external stuff, but 85% of the time, maybe even 90, they will tell us they are their biggest obstacle to their career goals. It's not something else outside of them. So really important, not just to identify your own personal obstacles, as we said at the beginning, but identify areas where you feel less confident in this role for yourself and develop affirmations for those. Create a music playlist that kind of pumps you up before certain meetings that may make you a little bit more nervous. Watch your body language as a new manager. Lots of different things that we coach people on to help them boost their confidence as a new manager so that other people believe in you as well. Tip number 8, really important to develop and create a positive, constructive feedback loop with your people. Asking for feedback is critically important as a new manager, and it doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look strong in the sense of you welcome the feedback, you want to create that effective feedback loop, you want to hear from them, and as part of this, you are asking for constructive feedback, setting the right tone for your team. The incorrect response when you do get that feedback as a new manager is on the left-hand side. The correct response is you want to accept what makes sense feedback-wise from them, implement changes, and work on improving. You can filter these things out based on what you were able to do versus what you're unable to do. But don't just ask for the feedback and then have it fall on deaf ears. They're going to stop giving it to you and being honest with you. So you want to make sure that you're implementing and making changes as appropriate and as possible based on that feedback. Tip number 9 is critically important. How important it is to build your brand when you are a new manager. So these are things that you may not need to do at the beginning, the very beginning, but you want to start to do over time. Building your brand is about how you communicate with people, whether you're accepting and implementing the feedback like we just talked about. Building your brand is also about empathizing with others, providing that context, all of that other good stuff. And then externally, but also broader within your organization, it's a really good idea to put your, get your feet wet with getting more involved within your industry association, for example, presenting at a conference, maybe you start to write some articles over time. So these are usually not things that we say, oh my gosh, you have to do right at the beginning, because you're working on other things as a new manager, and we get that. But in order to be effective and successful longer term within your organization, with your people, and within your industry, you want to start understanding what your brand is. And we help people with that all of the time, where your obstacles are to find the right people to kind of plug those gaps. And then also, though, longer term, how you want to build your brand as a manager and a leader within your organization and within your industry as well. And our final tip for today is tip number 10, to keep an accomplishments document. So we've talked about understanding what those obstacles are, right? And where you may need to improve. But we also want you to get really clear on and focus on and give yourself credit for the accomplishments that you are making in your new role, because this is going to boost your confidence and help you understand where your strengths are so that you can play to that, and it helps you understand your brand as well. So make sure that, especially as a new manager, you create an accomplishments document so you can track your accomplishments in your new role, and you can read it when you're feeling a little bit frustrated or, fish out of water, those types of things, whether it's testimonials, kudos, the skills and experience that you're developing over time. We want you to update this at least once a month, maybe more, so that you can be working on building your confidence. It helps you update your strategic plan like we talked about, but it also helps you track, okay, how's my progress? Where am I doing really well as a manager? Where do I need to improve a little bit more? And how can I get help with doing that? So for today, we have recommended, I think, as we've progressed, a lot of different action steps. So what we want to do is invite you, before we close, to go ahead and write some of those down. Before we go, I wanted to let you know also about a program that we have coming up. It starts August 5th, so it's next week. It is a really great workshop to help you design your ideal career, whether you are a new manager or not. How do you understand what your career values are? And how do you, especially as a new manager, start to align your career path with what you want in the long run? Feel free to learn more about that on the QR code. There's a link in the chat box as well. And as we close out for today, I would love to hear about your action steps. So if you respond to any of the emails that we have sent to you, I will get it. And if you'll write down one action step for this next week, that would be great. It could be anything we've talked about today, from the accomplishments document, the leadership skills using the leadership wheel. Feel free to schedule a consult so we can talk with you more about our career coach, Michael, who is our mentor coach for new managers. And we hope that what we have shared with you today is helpful to ensure you succeed in your new management role. Our next webinar coming up for Georgia State alumni and friends is going to be 10 transferable skills to help you change careers. It's a mouthful. It's August 26th. You can register here. But if you are on our email list already and our monthly newsletter list, you will always get notifications of these upcoming webinars. So check your email for those, as well as the slides and the recording from today. I greatly appreciate your time. Stay cool during all of this heat that's going on everywhere. And I hope this was